Good morning. I thought we'd start today with the tour, last part of the tour of the wall that borders the Heydon property. And this is an area that we can use commonly, but people are also able to walk around this area. And we start here for our condo with the plantain trees between the middle condo and ours, and the red bougainvillea, the pink and white bougainvillea, and then at the end the frangipani. And there's the little ladder that I climbed down. So there are 3 condos overlooking this area, and we are the one on the end. And we planted a few things down here, mostly native. So this is a native cedar tree right here. This is the latest one that we've added. And it looks that it has quite a bit of growth over the last couple of weeks. And there's a little area in here that the boys have been creating into a fort. And this road takes you up to the Heydon Chapel. So we use this for walking and running and riding bikes and such. Over here is a loquat tree that has been blown to bits by a recent hurricane, but it is starting to come back. My husband keeps editing it to try to get the better growth. And then over here we have a couple more cedar trees that we planted. This one I think was planted last year, and again it has quite a bit of new growth. And then this one over here is the cedar tree for our second son, and it's growing rather nicely. And then if we walk across, this large cedar tree over here is the cedar tree from the birth of our first son. And as you can see, it's grown quite a bit. In fact, it's quite tall. Now Seamus's, we actually, it's a newer tree. We did receive one for his birth, and we actually planted it elsewhere, but then he wanted one here, so we have actually planted one that we grew in the garden. The birds had dropped the seed, but it has come across lightly. Over there is a palmetto, and I'd love to get more of those. And then I've seen out there, you see the trees that are out leading towards the field. Those were planted when the cedar blight took over Bermuda. We have a lot of those trees that now people are starting to take down. You see that, well, actually you can't see very well, but that area right there, during a hurricane, one of the trees fell over. They have shallow roots, and we lose quite a bit during hurricanes. And indeed, we had one where Seamus's tree was, and it fell over very early on when we lived here, and it sat there on the grass for years, and finally Heydon decided to cut it up. And then we have our wall. Now you'll see we have a lot of spider lilies, and the bulbs came from my husband's father. And you also see that there's a lot of climbing fig, or crawling fig. And again, that's my husband's attempt to get rid of the orange wall. But the spider lilies, we do need to thin them out. I started thinning them out here during the early summer, and then it just got too hot. But I see that they're already coming back. And these ones are just years of bulbs. And if you go in between it, they're literally sitting on top of the ground now. So there's a bit of this is our little white pet growing into the peach tree that's next door and growing down around the fence. And I do like the clusters of white roses, so I've left that one, and I've actually come out here and pruned all of the dead branches and such. And then down here we have our spider lilies. You have some that are actually flowering right now. We have a couple of canna lilies that we're going to plant today, and a few more up here that we've grown from seed. Those are a couple of weeks old. The ones here are about a year old. And then in the midst of here, we have a papaya that seems to have volunteered itself. I may move it, I'm not sure. This is a bit of a surprise, it's come up this year. We have a few amaryllis in here, and right now I'm not entirely sure where they are, but we have red and white, and we have white and red. And then we have a few, I think this is agapanthus, and we have the blue agapanthus, and we have about, there's one over there, so I'll show you what it looks like, but this is the seed pods setting up. This one has bloomed very well this year. Another we grew quite a few canna lilies earlier this year from seed, so there are a few canna lilies. This is a copper leaf, and that one should have bronze flowers. We have another canna lily down here, and there's another agapanthus growing up right there. We also have, you see in the midst of this is stephanotis, and I hope to have the stephanotis grow up and flower in the midst of all this clowning fig. But I also realize that my husband is going to probably shear this with the hedge trimmers in September, so hopefully it won't be the worse for wear. This right here is a passion flower vine, and it's planted in the honor of one of the pipe band members who passed away, Philip Cook. And this is our second attempt. The first attempt, we weren't able to keep it wet enough, and we've been watering and watering and watering it, and you can see it goes up and up, and indeed it goes across, and it's beautiful, and I'm so happy we've managed to get it to grow this time. Again, we have some more canna lilies that we've planted. We have an agapanthus that's about to flower, and then more spider lilies that have bloomed. This is how the red bougainvillea grows over the fence, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And the pink isn't as profuse as it was before the tropical storm in June, and that's primarily because, as you can see, I wasn't able to get to certain areas that I probably should have pruned. So we still have some dead branches in the midst of it, whereas I heavily pruned this, and it's now growing back beautifully. And then as we come to the end of the wall, we have plantains, which we actually both don't like, so we always end up giving them away. And we may actually take them out when we rebuild the chicken coop, because we're going to have both sets of chickens down here, albeit separated. And due to the fact that we don't eat plantains, we thought that we would perhaps get rid of them and get people to take them away. And then you can see in there we actually have some growing. So that is something we need to keep an eye on. So we have started putting the spider lilies further down the wall because of the fact that, as you can see, thank you. As you can see the wall as you come in, and it looks rather nice to be able to have it go all the way down. Additionally, sometimes we will have, since there are tour buses that go up to the chapel, sometimes the tour bus will stop to look at the bougainvillea and the cedar tree and the plantains and the frangipani. And every so often we've actually, when we've been in the house, seen someone run across and grab some of the blooms from the bougainvillea. So I'm going to sign off for now and plant these canna lilies so that I can then go up and fertilize the garden before we go on vacation, and then I will make some chocolate croissants. And indeed, that's what usually we hear going up and down the hill. Have a great one, and see you later. Goodbye.